If, as part of your goal, is to integrate economies, we call it deep economic integration, and integrate their economic structures, then countries don't want to give up their economic structures freely. And if things are going well for the people, and they say, well, thank you for offering us this Amero or North American Union or one common currency across the North American continent, but we're happy with our economy now, we're happy with our own currency, and we don't need any help right now. But if you throw a man or a country into quicksand, and then all of a sudden they'll clutch at straws, and the straw that they'll clutch at, you already have for them, but they won't reach for it unless you create the crisis and put them in there. So this economy dropping is design. The Depression was designed. You know, you had in 1913 in the United States, when they created this Federal Reserve Bank, it's a J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, Rothschild group. They have all these plans. Like if they want to control the currency of the nation, they will do that. And if they want to move it towards a different sort of unified model, which they're going to right now, then they'll create the catastrophes and calamities required in order to move you forward. By example, if you want to go enhance your military-industrial complex, well, you need some crazy sort of thing that the whole world's going to see that, oh my God, we're under threat. 911 seems to be a good example for that. Not much different from the way it was for the Second World War. No one can get the United States into this battle, in the European battle, so Pearl Harbor emerged. And people had advance warning of that as well.
Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor. A year has passed, and we do honor to our beloved dead who fell before the sneak Jap. Each day this week in motion picture theaters throughout the land, Americans are remembering with vengeance in their hearts. Tears, too. Why not?
If you want to move a population as a whole and galvanize their common thinking as a one galvanized response, and we all agree this, then they give you their will freely to go take them to where you already want to go. If you throw them in that quicksand and then you pass them that straw, and a drowning man will grab at anything. They have to make us drown first, because we're not going to grab unless we see we're drowning, and they're drowning us. The systems are being set up here have got more to do with investment and trade rather than for the individual person in society. You use the Security and Prosperity Partnership as an example. Security. And 911 sort of brought in this whole area. Now we can use terror and fear. These terrorists are coming at us, and they're going to help and hurt you. You need us as the collective military-industrial complex to come in your nation to protect you. Do you know how big the borders are of Canada? If somebody wants to come in here with a bomb or any otherwise, they can waltz across our country any way they want. There's no way you'll ever be able to put up any boundaries that will protect our country from every border it thinks of. There's no way to do it. It's impossible. So that already is a ruse. If someone wants to go harm your country, they will do it. If they want to get in your country from within or from without, they will do it. And so security, that's a ruse. And now prosperity, deal with that. What's prosperity about? There's nothing prosperous here for Canada in these agreements. There's nothing prosperous here for the average Canadian citizen. The prosperity here is for those who are actually spending the money drafting these legislations. And the legislation is being drafted to improve trade and sale and movement of cheap labor from Mexico into our nation, and take up jobs that belong to us, move manufacturing out, bring cheap goods in from other countries, and take away the rules and the tariffs and trade agreements that we had in place that were beneficial for Canada. But Canada is like David, the United States is like Goliath, and Mexico is even beneath David. Well, what kind of agreement are you going to get in place with Goliath where it's going to be to your advantage? They level the playing field. They manipulate what you got. Even the North American Free Trade Agreement, Canada did not get what it asked for, but the United States got both the concessions that they wanted, and now they are in our country, and they own our country. Everything's been sold. What is good about these agreements? North American Union, I'm sure to a certain extent there's some benefit to moving goods across borders in a more generic way that frees up freedom of movement of goods. But it's much beyond that. It's harmonization of the laws and regulations of the lands that define each individual, the nationhood in the United States, the nationhood of Canada, the nationhood of Mexico. And you give up those rules and regulations, and you give up the way to create those rules and regulations, and you make them susceptible and being written by regulatory bodies, outside orders of council, outside of Congress, outside of the will and eyes and perspective of the Canadian people. But that's not Canadian people anymore. Our country is being defined and shaped by regulatory bodies, by corporations, who have no accountability whatsoever to the Canadian people, and not by blood, not by birthright, or any concern for the health or welfare or the environment or the prosperity of our country. And that's a concern. So I don't see that this harmonization, unionization is good for the Canadian people, period. Never was, never will be. It needs to stop. Like the analogy of being in the elevator, people need to turn around. The only threat to democracy, and these people who are pushing this agenda know this, is an informed, educated, participatory democracy. And we're not participant. And we're choosing to be misinformed by the propaganda given to us, and we're not educated on these issues. We haven't gone out there and generally seek what they are. So what people can do, they have to recognize and realize that our country, Canada, is no different from the United States. We have, by and large, a bi-party system in Canada. You have your liberals and you have your conservatives. In the United States, they have Republican and Democrat. But society, individuals as a whole, we get all excited at election time, and we let an individual who's been appointed to that position to go fulfill that role, and the people who are appointing them are the very people who want to march us down to this whole globalization North American Union. So we perceive as democracy. We collectively keep voting in the people with the colorful posters, the most advertising on TV.
We're tired of fear, we're tired of division, we want something new, we want to turn the page. The world as it is not the world as it has to be.
What gives them the power to become in power of our nation and be puppeted by this shadow government behind these nations is our collective free will, which we give willingly because we think that, you know, the person who has the most propaganda, most media, most best jingle to their campaigns is who we're going to go for. We don't even know what the issues are. And in these campaigns where we elect these individuals into power, we don't even hear the issues of these issues about our sovereignty of our nation. Canada and Canadians needs to step back and needs to create a government for, by, and of the Canadian people. Vote for themselves, not for these people, these different parties that have been usurped by the very groups that seek to march us towards this singular drum. And it's not about us as individuals, it's about the truth. But when people can now finally see the truth with their own eyes and understand that people come to their own conclusions, not by something we've told them, and not by something they've been sold in propaganda. They can see and understand in themselves, because I said earlier, an educated, informed, participatory society is the only threat these people who want to enslave us fear. So we have to educate each other. We have to make each other aware. We have to become informed. But then we have to become active. It's not enough just to know. We don't need believers anymore. We need doers. And the doers right now are the average citizens standing up, organizing, and coming together under a common good to go save themselves. Because Canada is in peril. And we're not alone. And this whole North American Union globalization is not inevitable like 1 and 2 people believe in Canada. It's not. It can be stopped. And if people who sit here since the time of Confederation, who put our country together, could fight and give up their lives to save this country, how dare we, as individual citizens in the 21st century, sit back idle and say it's inevitable. Our country is going to this new world order and this new global elite. Save your country. And we can do that. And Canada is no different from the same patriots and nationalists in the United States or other countries. We're fighting a war together. Whether we're individual citizens of different countries, we have to fight the same people together. We need to come together, get out there, educate, inform your fellow man. Do not be embarrassed. Do not be shy. Who cares if they call you conspiracy theorists? This is the truth. Canada needs to come together and create 308 electoral district associations across this nation, put themselves in power, vote themselves into government, and then retake what is being taken from them by stealth and lie and propaganda. And unless they do that, There is not going to be a Canada in the generations to come. And we're less than a decade away from this happening. And even Canada must be Codex Alimentarius compliant by 2010. We are losing our nation before our very eyes. We are at war. The other side is playing for keeps. And Canadian citizens are not standing up for this great country. And we need them to. And from my perspective, the Canadian Action Party is the only vehicle towards which to achieve that end for the people, by the people, of the people. Because it's not about being better than one's fellow man. It's about helping one's fellow man become better. And our nation needs our help. And we need the citizens of our nation to stand up, stand strong, stand free, and vote themselves into power and take back what is rightfully theirs and their children to come.